Hi, Al here. Well, John Cristofalusi personally asked me to do the intro for the Adult Party cartoon DVD, and
Kids, if you're watching this, kill yourself.
Sorry for party rocking.
This is how it should be done.
You're fucking crazy!
This is how it should be done. This style, done.
I have already reviewed the show in the past, however, these videos I made are very, very bad. If he was based off of Ralph Bakshi, keep it so he's based off of
These nuts!
I wanted to make a definitive video on this channel about this show. So if you see any of these videos, just dislike them, don't watch them, they're cringe, just dislike them and click off of them. But I do appreciate all the feedback that I got from the videos. I'm going through this video with the assumption that most of you watching are pretty familiar with Ren and Stimpy, the original series. But in case you're not familiar, Ren and Stimpy was a cartoon made in the 90s that had its original creator fired because he was always late with deadlines, and overall he was just a bad person to work with.
Do you mind if I take my shirt off?
Now there is a lot of juicy controversy I could go about this guy, but for the sake of the video, I'm just going to stick with the Ren and Stimpy Adult Party cartoon series.
Here at Funko, we're gonna do cartoons for men!
Now flash forward a bit, after the show's cancellation, Viacom had made a new program block aimed for an adult male audience, and contacted John Kay. Now personally, I think a TV channel that makes cartoons aimed for adult men to be a little bit silly in retrospect, but I guess whatever floats your boat. Spike TV first premiered with Ren and Stimpy Adult Party cartoon, and after 3 episodes airing, the whole program plummeted, and so did Adult Party. But what exactly went wrong?
Get out of my fucking bar, you vermin sons of bitches!
Onward and Upward was made purely from fans' requests of making more episodes that were just completely disgusting and that focused on Ren and Stimpy being a gay couple. The idea of Ren and Stimpy living in a bum's mouth and moving up by living in a spittoon is kind of a funny idea, but this whole episode is just overshadowed by the abusive gross-out gags. Something I thought I could never say about the series, as a big part of it was the gross-out humor. But this episode just overdoes it to where it's not gross and funny, it's just gross.
Psychologist? Are you nuts? I'm a horse! You crazy son of a bitch!
Ren Seeks Help starts out with Ren being depressed about doing something bad to Stimpy and deciding to see a therapist for help. While talking to the therapist, he confesses torturing a frog in his youth, and that's just pretty much the whole episode. 20 minutes of Ren torturing this poor bastard. The therapist, who was actually Mr. Horse, becomes upset by what Ren did and just beats the shit out of him. Until, Ren mauls him like a hyena. So, what did Ren do to Stimpy? It's never revealed in the episode. That's just how it ends.
But we wrote this cartoon in 1991, and it was deemed too intense for kids back then, so.
It's kind of stupid to have the setup of the story lead you wondering why Stimpy is upset with Ren, and then have it to just never be revealed throughout the episode. But of course with the internet now, we know actually what happened.
What happened to all the children, Daddy?
Oh, they walked. Oh, how they walked. And when they finished walking, some of the little rascals drowned in the rivers. No, yes they did.
Daddy, chill.
The ones that didn't drown crossed the mountains. The lucky ones froze to death. The unlucky ones got frostbite.
That's terrible, Ren!
That's what he did. The torture scenes of the frog just go on for way too long than they should. You really can tell that they're just trying to milk shock value out of the audience. In the end, it just comes across as a poorly written and disgusting cartoon. Firedogs 2 is weird because it claims to be Firedogs 2, but it has nothing to do with Firedogs. Now I'm gonna let my past self take over from here because I feel like present me just couldn't say any better. But this isn't Firedogs at all. I mean, hell, they should have called this fucking Ren and Stimpy Toilet Adventures. John K. says in the beginning that he made the chief Ralph Bakshi because that's what the character was based off of. Yeah, I get that, but why? It shouldn't be called Firedogs 2 if it has nothing to do with Firedogs at all. Naked Beach Frenzy is John K. kind of showing off his creepier side of his animations. To me, the gags in this episode aren't really as disgusting as the previous ones so far. However, there's nothing really going from this episode at all. All it is just softcore porn. I will say, the ending of the guy chasing Ren and Stimpy with his hairy asshole is kind of funny, but other than that, this episode isn't really anything that hasn't been said before. Altruists is heavily inspired by the Three Stooges, and I love the Three Stooges. My favorite one is Simon. This is an episode about Ren and Stimpy just doing good things for a homeless lady and her disabled son, whose disability is not having a head. Now, Altruists has the worst pacing than any other episode in this series, with a running time of almost 40 fucking minutes. Watching every other episode already feels like a chore, so having this 40-minute long fucking turd was enough to make me take a break from watching. Every single joke in this episode drags on for way too long, and it's really a shame. This episode and Onward and Upward are like the only two episodes in this series that I can actually see being good ideas, but they were just very badly handled in development. Which is funny because in the beginning of one of the episodes, John K. boasts about being a better writer than his old bosses he used to work for.
Make way for new life!
Stimpy's Pregnant is the last episode of the series, and you would hope that this series would have at least one decent episode, but it doesn't. This episode is actually one of the worst. It's got one gag that kind of made me laugh.
I'm gonna have your baby!
What? I'll take care of that.
But other than that, this whole episode is just making fun of pregnant women with gross out humor. But then, Stimpy goes into labor. And the twist is, Stimpy is not actually pregnant. He is just constipated. So to avoid disappointing the couple, Dr. Mr. Horse delivers Stimpy's shit. Yeah, I don't really have any...
A fly marrying a bumblebee? I told you I'd shoot, but you didn't believe me. Why didn't you believe me? Happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy.
It should be no surprise as to why this was pulled off of TV. It's one of the worst cartoons. I used to think it was the worst cartoon of all time, but after watching it so many years later, I can say it's at least better than the Nut Shack.